Godzilla Unleashed, everything is going bad all at once. Like, mega bad. Crystals are raining from space and creating natural disasters, the Vortak have returned, and all the monsters have also escaped. Plus, there are new mutant monsters feeding off the crystals and their energy. It's your job, as the player, to navigate this worldwide chaos and steer humanity toward its salvation, or toward its doom, if you're so inclined. In the game's many levels, your actions directly influence the factions competing for dominance. The Global Defense Force, the aliens, and the mutants are all at war over Earth's fate. You can nudge any one of them towards success or failure. If you deliberately smash a bunch of the big white crystals, that'll damage the mutant faction. Or if you've had enough of the humans and their massive guns, destroy their mecha and cripple their defenses. It's pretty immersive and engaging being dropped into a new level, seeing the other monsters smashing the city, while also smashing each other, and trying to work out what behavior would most benefit your desired faction. Do the choices ultimately boil down to a bunch of punching and tail swipes? Yeah, sure, it's still a fighting game, but it's a fighting game with narrative weight and consequence. Perhaps the thing I like most about the story is that, if you deign to aid the humans, it's all about being a good guy when almost everyone else thinks you're a bad guy. Sure, you're trying to destroy the crystals, crush the mutants, the aliens, and prevent total destruction, but the humans don't know that. They just see some brute running around smashing stuff. You'll be running from someone trying to give you a missile enema while you save their planet, forbidden from turning around and slapping them silly, lest you betray your own morals. That's good stuff. I love games where being the hero is genuinely unfair, difficult, and sometimes without reward or sympathy. The essence of heroism, after all, is self-sacrifice to protect others. Outside of the pure romanticism, there are a lot of mechanics in play involving the factions. For starters, that crystal energy the mutants are harvesting. You can harvest it too, and it'll heal you or give you energy meter. But if you rely on it too heavily, you might reach critical mass, which could apparently destroy everyone. Making the power-ups themselves a moral choice like this was a brilliant move. Or for a more tame example, throne buildings are overpowered, enabling you to stunlock the opponents, but throwing them makes you a villain for obvious reasons. People live in those things. You may have guessed from all this so far that Earth is the most fragile faction, and you can harm the Earth and its forces the easiest. For that reason, it's really easy to say fuck it and go rage mode, condemning humanity to their ruin. Again, being good is harder than being bad. It's mechanically and thematically sound in its conveyance of that struggle. Still, if you ask me, being good could, and maybe should, be even harder still. The actual fights are laughably easy most of the time, and you can claim victory without understanding the basic combo mechanics or even where the block button is generally. Some of the bosses are obscenely goofy in how terribly they're designed too, allowing you to win through a straightforward war of attrition. And even though I personally hesitate to list this next bit as a negative, I will readily admit that it's crazy hard to understand what's going on during gameplay at first. I think it adds to the chaos and uncertainty, making moral clarity more difficult than it would initially appear. In this way, the game reminds me of Epic Mickey 2, which was similarly criticized for poorly conveying its design to the player. In my experience, both games are exactly as confusing as they should be, and the pure of heart will ultimately find their way through without causing undue harm to the innocent. In case it isn't clear, Godzilla Unleashed is much more about the narrative, emotional, and philosophical experience to me than the core gameplay. Sometimes it feels good to turn it on for an hour and persevere against all odds as an agent of good in a world gone mad. Hey, it's the end of the video. Did you know I have a Patreon? It's true. If you grab certain tiers there, you can directly influence what content I make next, or you can just offer general support. Both are lovely, and some equally lovely people are already signed up. People I will list for you now. My wonderful supporters are iPompous, Anonymous, Jay, Marth Sinclair, Mighty Minimalist Power Rangers, and Sam Anderson. A link to the Patreon is in the description. Thank you all so much for your time and thoughts, and I'll talk to you in the next video.